Hey guys, welcome back to MMA Library. Today in MMA and UFC news, Israel Adesanya says he's actually grateful for his rivalry with Alex Pereira during a recent Instagram post. Adesanya posted, "I love this game. Nothing compares on this planet, in this life, than putting it all on the line. One shot, the whole world watching, waiting, then boom, history. Our individual legends will always be intertwined because of the stories we've told with our beautiful violence. I'm grateful we have this rivalry. I'm grateful he beat me. It forced me to grow, made me better. Now I've done the same for him, the gift that keeps on giving. Shout out to the warrior from Brazil, Alex Poatan Pereira." Paddy Pimblett reveals he's been struggling with depression during a recent interview. Pimblett says he's had a rough couple of months since his last fight with Jared Gordon because of the injury he sustained.
Not gonna lie, I've been very depressed, lad. Very. A couple of weeks ago, I was so depressed. It's got better now, like, you know what I mean? The first few weeks, lad, you couldn't even really... Like, the first week, I was in pain. You know what I mean? The first week, lad, once the anaesthetic wore off, I was just sitting here in pain. My leg was just throbbing. You know what I mean? And then after that, I was on crutches going round. So, like, I've got blisters on my hands, like there, on both hands, where even just walking around on my crutches, can't walk around too much. And then especially when you've got all talking on the internet, and then you've got the helmet who you've just beat fighting. Know what I mean? It was nice to see him get knocked clean out though.
Nate Diaz broke his silence on the altercation that went down last weekend. Diaz released the following statement to MMA Fighting. Nate's attorney, Walter Becker, can confirm that Nate has received word of his arrest warrant, and Becker has been in contact with court authorities in New Orleans. Nate's attorney looks forward to presenting all the facts about this incident to the district attorney, which clearly demonstrates that a trained fighter named Rodney Peterson aggressively pursued Nate with the intention of engaging him, and once doing so, Nate acted entirely in self-defense. No further comments will be made at this time. Josh Thompson and Big John McCarthy give their early take on the recently announced fight between Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis that's set to go down at UFC 290.
I look at this and it makes sense because they don't want to put Robert Whittaker right back with Izzy. Du Plessis has been, talking about, taking on Izzy. Izzy made some statements and all that stuff and, dragging his carcass all over Africa and stuff. You look and you go, whatever. I think it's a good fight. I think it's going to be very difficult for Du Plessis to beat Whittaker, though.
Yep.
Bobby Knuckles in this has, the wrestling that Du Plessis uses will not work against Whittaker. Okay? Just telling you right now. He's not going to be taking him down. So he's going to be in a stand-up unless it's Whittaker that goes for the takedowns and stuff, which, might be. I just look at it, there's just certain styles of fights, and I've seen, the guys that Du Plessis has been doing, well with, who he's been fighting. And look, he's a tough dude. There's no doubt he's a tough dude. But
there's levels.
Whittaker,
there's levels to this game.
Exactly. Whittaker is, in my opinion, a level above him at this point, and he's going to kind of find out exactly where he's at in this mix.
Jared Gordon discusses his no contest against Bobby Green during an interview with Ariel Helwani. Helwani goes on to suggest the UFC should be paying the fighters their full purse in a situation like this. Here's the clip.
It's been a long time, though, since I've had these kind of occurrences happen. So, but, I think it's still kind of working out in my favor. I feel like the fans are with me, and I'm getting recognition, even though, luckily for me, I'm not relying on fighting for money. So, I'm salty over the money, but I'm not like dying over it. Yes, it would be nice to have that extra money, obviously, but
it blows me away though. Like a situation, like I get the Paddy one, even though the whole world thought you won that fight, but ultimately, all right, the judges didn't score it, fine. Situation like this, where there's no winner, where it's, a clash of heads, you guys deserve your money, man. You guys deserve your money. I don't want to harp on this stuff. People get mad at me for doing it, but like, it's crazy to me. This was not your fault. This was not his fault, in my opinion. You fought your asses off. Who can say, like, they're making like $15 million a show here from ESPN at the Apex. They've got no expenses. I don't know what you're making. I don't know. They can afford to pay you guys your win.
Conor McGregor has released some big news recently. McGregor announced that a docuseries titled McGregor Forever will premiere on May 17th, with all 4 episodes airing on Netflix. The co-director of the short series, Gotham Chopra, had this to say about McGregor. Conor is unlike anyone I've ever collaborated with. As one of his trainers described him, he's an entirely unreasonable man, and for that reason, he's impossible not to watch and be fascinated by. Don't look away, because I guarantee you will definitely miss something inexplicably wild. Chael Sonnen reveals he doesn't think the super fight between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler ever happens.
We know nothing. We know there's no match, there's no against Chandler, there's no 155 pounds or 170 pounds, there's no training camp at Big Bear, they're in the middle of, nothing that we've been told is accurate. That's okay. That's okay. There's two kinds of stories, guys. There's only two. You got fiction and nonfiction. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just sharing for you that it looks like other people are now catching on. So at some point, Chandler is going to wake up and realize, I don't have a fight coming up with Conor, which means I don't have a fight coming up at all. I'm a prize fighter. I got a family. I mean, right, it's going to be one of those situations at some point. But you'd have very good reason to look at it. As the days go by, they're turning into weeks. Those weeks are turning into months. And there is definitely things that are off.
Francis Ngannou may be in for a rude awakening, according to boxing manager Dan Rafael. Rafael shares what he has heard about the recent negotiations surrounding Ngannou in the boxing world. Here's a clip.
I can't say that there's been like true negotiations in terms of like actually working on the specifics of a deal. So I can't speak for every single conversation that he or his people have had. I can say with certainty, based on my own conversations with the team of Deontay Wilder, is that they have engaged them in some talks about the prospect of maybe doing a match with Deontay, the former WBC heavyweight champion, obviously one of the biggest punchers in boxing history, frankly, not just in today's game. And that would certainly be interesting. It's going to be hard for Ngannou to get that kind of big fight. And I say that because we were just talking about McGregor. He had such fame and such notoriety and such popularity when he was fighting in the UFC that when he came over and he fought Floyd Mayweather, was as big or bigger in boxing than he was in MMA. You had two mega personalities. It was a sort of a new thing. That was the first of what became a whole series of crossover fights where MMA fighters wanted to face boxers, and they did a huge amount of business. Ngannou, while, again, I'm no big MMA fan, but my understanding is he's a tremendous heavyweight in the MMA world. But if he comes over and he takes on a guy like Deontay Wilder, it's not that kind of fight. So the point is there's money there, but I think if they're going to actually do something, whether it's him against Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury or any other of the big name heavyweights, they're going to have more of a lower expectation of what the financial element's going to be, because Ngannou wasn't even a big pay-per-view star within the MMA sphere.
Ariel Helwani discusses what's next for Sergei Pavlovich during a recent episode of the MMA Hour. Ariel believes we may have to wait over a year to see Pavlovich get a shot at the heavyweight title.
Can we give Sergei Pavlovich his flowers?
Oh my goodness, can we ever?
What do we do with this man?
Give him a title shot.
What does that mean? He's gonna wait till next year?
Why would he fight anyone else at this point? 6 straight first-round knockouts. Just did it to
But
Curtis
the problem is he can't fight for a year then.
Is that not worth waiting?
I mean, how much money does Sergei Pavlovich
an
make?
Opportunity against Stipe or John, is that not worth waiting for?
Okay, here's the question. Stipe wins that fight, he ain't fighting again. You think Stipe's sticking around for Sergei Pavlovich?
Perfect.
Okay.
Now I get an interim
sure.
a vacant
Why
title
would he
shot.
stick around for Sergei?
The question is, does John stick around? I'd love to see it. Is it big enough for John?
If I was his manager, I just don't see the upside.
If I'm not mistaken, he came out and said he was going to wait for the title shot.
I would wait.
I know, but does he realize that that fight, his title shot, isn't happening until this time next year? If those two guys are fighting in November at MSG, the winner, the only chance he has, which is scenario, is if the winner vacates the title, and then they could just run another title fight in December or something
Right
like
away,
that.
yeah.
Otherwise, here's what I think we're going towards. I think one day we're going towards a Tom Aspinall, Sergei Pavlovich title fight.
Guys, thanks so much for checking out the video. If you like the content we do here on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe to MMA Library for all the latest MMA and UFC news. We'll see you in the next video.